So this cannabis company grew from $10 million to $80 million in revenue in 1 year, and they already have a footprint in Germany, which is about to legalize recreational cannabis. Find out more in our latest podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the Dales Report, and happy to be joined on the podcast here today is Raj Grover, President and CEO of HITI, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol HITI. Raj, how are things?
Shad, thank you for having me. Things are exciting as always at HITI.
I know. It's always exciting in cannabis, is it not?
Never a dull moment, I always say.
Yeah. Well, let's focus on you. You have a big following. I know that a lot of people are very familiar, but with my audience, let's focus on your operational markets. You're in Canada, you're in the U.S., you're in Europe right now. You were founded over 12 years ago, way before cannabis was even on the map. You have a dominant Canadian retail chain. You have 3 of the 5 the most popular accessories commerce platforms in the world. So where do you think we are sentiment-wise today for the industry? And I guess, what do you tell your investors about the investment opportunity that your company presents?
Look, I think we're one of the most compelling cannabis investment opportunities. If you look at HITI, we are one of the most diversified ecosystem, Shad, in cannabis.
Yeah.
Not only are we a leader in Canadian cannabis bricks and mortar retail through our innovative discount club concept that we just introduced, we're sitting at 104 stores in Canada, and we intend to be over 150 stores, by the end of 2022, and then 200 stores by the end of 2023. We have a very unique and diversified ecosystem, which also includes the business of CBD products and consumption accessories. And we're rapidly growing, across all 3 categories. Like I said, we're a leader in corporate store count in Canada. This year alone, in 2021, we've made 6 direct-to-consumer focused acquisitions, 3 of them in the CBD space, all of them outside of Canada. We've taken our revenue from $10.6 million outside of Canada revenue to now $80 million with the NuLeaf transaction. So I remain super excited about our growth prospects. And I would say HITI is one of the most compelling investment opportunities for anyone that's interested in cannabis business.
Yeah. Not a bad growth from 10 to 80 million in 1 year. That's incredible. Where are we right now? Because I see your expansion. It's an aggressive one. 104 brick and mortar store locations in Canada. Let's face it, Canada has been under some daunting times, obviously, with what happened 5 years ago. But I'd like to get an idea, somebody like yourself that has seen huge growth revenue-wise in 1 year, where are we right now in the Canadian landscape and the opportunities it presents for you from a brick and mortar perspective?
So, we're looking really good in terms of growth. We've had a ton of growth, Shad. We've gone from just $8.7 million of revenue in 2018 to approximately ending 2021 over $200 million or close to that number.
Wow.
And, if you look at bricks and mortar, we've gone up from, if you look at last year, we were in November when we closed the Meta transaction, when we bought our second largest competitor in the country. We went from 63 stores in November of 2020 to now 104 stores. And I anticipate ending this year at 110 stores. And I'll tell you this, Chad, we're firing on all cylinders, but I'm restricted due to some municipalities not being able to issue building permits on time. And regardless of that, we've still at 104 store count in Canada, going to be at 110 by the end of this year. And next year, we anticipate adding another 40, 50 locations. So we should be over 150 stores. The year after that, in 2023, we anticipate being over 200 stores in Canada. And that's just the bricks and mortar front of it. But because we're such a unique and diversified ecosystem, we've got opportunities in accessories. We've got opportunities in CBD. Like I said, we've got 6 e-commerce platforms just this year alone. So you can expect growth, not on the bricks and mortar side alone, but also on the CBD side, also on the consumption accessory side, and mostly outside of Canada in these verticals, which is very, very exciting for me. United States is a huge market for us. German legalization is coming up. That is going to be a huge market for us. So a lot of positive things happening for HITI, and this growth is not done yet. We've got a ton of opportunity. We're making strategic moves. We're not getting ahead of ourselves by getting into complicated businesses that we can handle. We're focusing on accretive businesses that fit really well into our ecosystem overall. So 2022 is going to present a ton of growth opportunities for us.
I know we talk and we focus a lot on the U.S. market. Obviously, the NDAA is coming down next week with their filings, First and Second Amendments. Perhaps the safe banking gets the proper, approval from Chuck Schumer. That'll really grow, obviously, the industry. But a lot of stuff I'm hearing more and more. I was at MJ Biz in Vegas last month, and I don't think it gets enough attention, is the progress that's being made in Germany for recreational use. So I'd like to find out, A, what your business model is there right now, and B, what are you hearing over there as far as how that's progressing as far as legislation is concerned in Germany?
So look, I'm very excited about our entry and growth potential in the German market. Germany is a very important market to us. It's a market of 5 million consumers,
big market,
which is almost 2.5 times, the population of Canada, or the opportunity in Canada. And it is also one of the most lucrative markets in Europe to do business in. It's also going to be the world's largest legal cannabis market, before United States legalizes, which we now know Germany will happen a lot sooner than the United States. So just a couple of days ago when the announcement came out, I was already having a meeting with my compliance team, and I have notified them to keep a very close eye on German regs as they come out.
Right.
So, we already have a couple of strategies being mapped out to how do we enter the German market and how we grow into the German market. Now, the good news for HITI, luckily for HITI, we already operate in Europe. We acquired a company called Gracity.com, I believe in December of 2018. And we've tripled that business since then. So we've got an Amsterdam base in Europe right now through that business. And then, Shad, more recently, we acquired Bless CBD out of UK, and we were never in the UK market. So that's a brand new market for us, almost equally as big as Germany. So that also presents us additional opportunities in Europe. And, now getting a foothold in Europe, having boots on the ground is going to play huge for what happens in Germany. And you can count on it that we will be there.
That's a big growth. Like you're saying numbers where it's like double, triple, quadruple. When I look at the Canadian landscape and a lot of brick and mortar stores where you've had great success, you talk about the European opportunity it presents too and what you've done over there. What would you credit a lot to that from?
The European opportunity that is sitting, it's just having the vision of, where the puck is going, versus where the puck is today, right? So I've always had the ambitions to make HITI into a global company, and we're headed there now. We saw this coming because we were making accessories already for the longest time, buying these e-commerce platforms that give us the opportunity to sell to the end consumer our own product lines, whether it's accessories or CBD. So there's a ton of opportunity to enhance margins, to enhance revenue, and we've capitalized on that. Like if you look at our growth, it's been exponential over the last 3 years. Like I said, our revenue was just $8 million, $8.7 million in 2018. And we're going to exit 2021 close to $200 million. And when Europe opens up and United States opens up, all bets are off at that time to how high we can grow from here. So we remain very excited about our growth potential, both in United States and Europe. But I think that growth is going to be probably 5-fold than what you've seen from us in Canada.
There's a lot of mergers and acquisitions that'll occur in this industry, especially over the next 12 to 24 months. Has there been any, is that a focal point? And has there been any conversations? Because when you're representing a business model like this and the numbers that you're sharing, clearly you have to obviously grab the attention of some of the, I guess, bigger multi-state operators that obviously want that European footprint as well.
Yeah, look, mergers and acquisitions are a huge part of HITI's strategy. We are always on the lookout for creative businesses that fit really well into our ecosystem and that are complementary to our existing business lines. Like if you look at what I just did with NuLeaf, it's a perfect fit in our portfolio. It's a leader in cannabinoid formulations in the US since 2014. It's generating industry-leading gross margins and EBITDA margins, which are immediately accretive to our results. It also provides us with a ton of cost synergies in our ecosystem between Fab and Bless through co-packing and shipping these products through the NuLeaf facility. And look, we've built a massive online portfolio. Like I said, we went from $10 million to $80 million. I don't know which one of my MSO friends can claim that. They've built great businesses. We're just not able to play there because of our exchange regulations, but that will end at some point. But what we've done in the meanwhile, Shad, is we positioned us really well through these e-commerce businesses that we've acquired, through some very strategic and accretive M&A. And that remains to be a core part of HITI's strategy on how we're going to expand. So, to give you an example, 70% of Canadian population now has access to order cannabis online through e-commerce platforms like cannacabana.com.
Right.
And I anticipate this to unfold in the United States as well in due course. And let's say even if half the United States, because it's all state by state, right? It's not consistent in the US. So even if half the US allow online cannabis sales, well, we've got so many opportunities through our daily High Club subscription boxes, which currently sell accessories, but eventually can sell cannabis. We are about to launch CBD subscription boxes. So, M&A is a huge deal, a huge part of our business strategy. And you can expect a lot more of that coming from us. And while I can't compete with the MSOs directly on the bricks and mortar front in the US, we continue to position us really well to take advantage of it when federal legalization takes place.
E-commerce, it's going to be a big role in this industry, is it not?
Love e-commerce. I think it's the way of the future.
Yeah.
And this is why my focus was entirely on e-commerce. While I say my focus was entirely on e-commerce, we still grew to, over 41 locations in Canada. So, we're a multifaceted company, but e-commerce is very dear to me. That is where the puck is going. That is where the future lies. So we're definitely 2022. You're going to hear a lot more of e-commerce opportunities coming through from us.
Well, you brought up NuLeaf. That was the big news that obviously happened this week, where you acquired 80% of the company, which is a premium producer and distributor of CBD wellness products for $31.24 million. The deal includes a 3-year option to acquire the remaining 20% at any time. The acquisition also accelerates, obviously, your global CBD exposure that NuLeaf already has generated. Adjusted EBITDA of US $5.26 million, making this, quite honestly, a financial accretive deal. So walk us through why this deal was made and what it means, I guess, to your overall global strategy.
So, Shad, we are always on the lookout for accretive businesses that are a really good fit in our overall business portfolio, and that can be complementary to our existing business lines. There's so many opportunities we can pull through from each business unit. So, NuLeaf was established in 2014, and it has been a leader in the cannabinoid science formulations, across the spectrum in the U.S. It's one of the most well-recognized CBD companies in the United States. So the rationale around doing this deal was, one, it was 80%, direct to consumer. So $16.3 million out of, I believe, $19.3 or $19.4 million is pure direct to consumer revenue. Like I said, focused on e-commerce. So that made a lot of sense for us. The cost synergies when we looked at what NuLeaf can do. So NuLeaf can formulate multi-cannabinoid SKUs, oils, tinctures, capsules. They have this special capability with the vegan soft gels. They can produce 60,000 vegan soft gels per hour. They're one out of the very few manufacturers in the United States that have this capability through their CGMP certified facility, because it's very hard to get the seam right of this vegan soft gel, but they've mastered the art of it. They actually put a full year into it, just perfecting it before they actually sold it. And now that has become 25% of their business.
Wow.
And exactly. And, you look at Fab and Blessed. Now Fab and Blessed can take advantage of being co-packed and shipped out of the CGMP facility. We also have the advantage of launching these multi-cannabinoid SKUs that NuLeaf makes for Fab first and eventually in Blessed, because Blessed has to go through this novel food compliance in UK before we can add new product lines into it. But nevertheless, the opportunity remains. And, one other opportunity we looked at was our eventual entry to bricks and mortar US, right?
Okay.
The bricks and mortar dispensaries in the US. And this facility, this CGMP certified facility that NuLeaf has in Denver, Colorado, we can also apply for a THC license in this facility and start making, the edible products and the drinkable products for THC. So we already have the infrastructure in place and the team in place to do that. So another advantage, right there. And one other key advantage, which I'm always thinking about, strategic business alignment initiatives and how do we get advantage and how do we multiply that advantage across our ecosystem? When we are buying such highly accretive businesses, like you said, $19.45 million in revenue and $5.26 million in EBITDA, I can fight in Canada. Canada is going through this massive margin compressions. And we've just launched our innovative discount concept, which means depressing our margins in the short term to give our very loyal club members the best discounts, the best product lines we can offer to them. but I can afford to pick up this fight in Canada and continue to gain market share here versus my peers. I can't say that about any of my peers here in Canada that have these opportunities in the US and abroad where they're making these creative business decisions that can help them in Canada. So the rationale was multifold to why we acquired NuLeaf.
What's your thoughts based on the FDA not being, I guess, very responsive when it comes to, I guess, regulating the CBD industry in the US?
So look, I think that train has already left the station. CBD has gone mainstream in the United States, and the industry's become way too big for the FDA to simply ignore. I do too. Even some of the most conservative nations like Japan, even they are starting to warm up to CBD. I feel, Shad, that it's a matter of when.
Well, the proper research is being done now, right?
Totally. There's a ton of studies, and the biggest testimonials is the customer testimonials. The pets are getting the help from it. Consumers are getting massive help from CBD, and these findings just can't be ignored, and they won't be ignored. CBD is already a big monster, and it's not going away. Again, with this acquisition of NuLeaf, we are one of the most well-positioned companies to take advantage of when FDA puts their foot forward in terms of what are the manufacturing guidelines exactly, and the production guidelines, and the compliance standards. Because we have this facility through NuLeaf, and the smaller guys can't. It takes a ton of capital to build a facility like this from scratch. We already have it in place. So again, we are really well positioned for when these regs come into play, for when FDA gets their act together and puts these rules in front of the CBD industry. We are really well positioned to take advantage of these rules when they come through in the United States.
Damn politicians, huh?
Know it.
Well, listen, you got a big following, obviously, on social media. I'm glad we had you on, but this has been great. Great learning process, too, because I did not realize the numbers of growth that you've had in the last year or two, but it's incredible to see. And most importantly, you trade on the NASDAQ. So it's nice to see a Canadian company that's obviously doing very well in the U.S. market, an early footprint, obviously, in the European market as well, and most specifically in Germany. But I appreciate the time. I appreciate the update. And let's very much keep in touch.
Absolutely, Shad. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks, Raj.